Okay, first of all, I don't like using microphones, so can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, now when I talk about tea, I'm not talking about sweet tea. Sweet tea is not real tea. Especially if it comes out of a bottle. If it comes out of a bottle, it is no way good for you. Okay, so today I'll talk a little bit about the history of tea, which Chinese legend says that it goes back to about 3000 BC with the Emperor Shenhong, who later became somewhat of a deity in Chinese mythology. Tea is typically from the same plant, the Camellia sinensis, which is what all green, white, yellow, oolong, and black teas come from. It typically grows in tropical areas. The different types of tea are black tea, which is what you normally find in tea bags, Lipton tea, primarily black, grown out of India. Or what most people don't know is that depending on different types of tea, you boil them at different temperatures. So for black tea and oolong tea, you boil them at boiling, or you brew them at boiling point, whereas with green, white, and yellow, you use below boiling point temperature. Now the difference between the different teas is based on their oxidation level and the age of the tea leaf. So for black and green teas, and I guess oolong and yellow, they all are fermented or oxidized. Black tea is oxidized the most, but green tea and yellow tea are very minimally oxidized. Yellow tea has a slower oxidation rate, which gives it its characteristic color. The oolong tea is partially oxidized, and white tea is not oxidized at all. And also, white tea is a very young leaf. It is not aged appropriately while it's being grown in order to be used for anything else. Herbal teas comprise any tea that is not made with the tea plant, so things like peppermint, anything made of fruit or herbs, ultimately. Red tea is a specific type of herbal tea, which is made from the South African rooibos bush, which is getting very popular because it can arguably be said that it is healthier than green tea is said to be. So tea is grown all over the world. Primarily it's grown in China, but oddly enough you'll also find some tea grown in America. Washington State, for some reason, grows tea. I have yet to find that tea though, I really want to. I absolutely love Washington State. So this is a brief diagram of or what tea goes through to become the different types of teas. I'll go into detail in a moment. So it starts out with picking the tea. So you pluck the tea. Mostly it's done by hand just because that's a lot easier and there has not been a reliable mechanical method found to pick tea of the right age, or the right age leaf, and quality. So it's typically done by hand. Then it's thrown into these huge trays and either sun-dried or goes through various other things to essentially wilt the leaf, which begins as soon as it's plucked, and that begins the oxidation process. After that, black tea and green tea goes through a breaking sort of thing, in which it's either literally broken or it's just damaged in some way to increase the speed of the oxidation process, which then happens with the green, oolong, and black teas to give it its characteristic flavor and coloring. As it oxidizes, it grows darker. After that, it goes through a process where they slightly heat the tea in order to stop the oxidation process so that it doesn't continue on through the life of the tea and make things just taste really bad after years of keeping it on the shelf. Sweltering is unique to yellow tea. Yellow tea, they go through the sweltering process, which turns it from a green tea to an actual yellow-colored tea, and it has a characteristic yellowy-green color for the actual brewed tea. Then, after all of that, it goes through a rolling phase, where they roll it either mechanically by hand to give it its, for loose leaves, characteristic shape, or they can just actually ball it up for gunpowder green. After that, they dry it and then package it. However, for pu'er tea, which is the most high-end tea that you can find, they also age it, where they set it out for years on end and then package it.